Hi, my name is Emily. I chose to look at the Aberdeen Diner article. The Aberdeen Diner is currently located on Route 40 in Aberdeen. During the 60s, it was located where the 7-Eleven currently is on Route 40 in Aberdeen. In the early 1960s, President John F. Kennedy signed a law that would end discrimination in restaurants. After this law went into effect, 35 restaurants agreed to desegregate. But 11 of these 35 along the Route 40 corridor went back on this agreement. This led to the Freedom Riders to commence their journey from Washington, D.C. to New York. During their journey, they had these rules directly from the Congress of Racial Equality. Patronize those restaurants which now serve everyone, regardless of color. Boycott those restaurants which still practice racial discrimination, and challenge segregation. These are the specific rules when they entered a segregated restaurant. Try to enter and sit at a table. If stopped at the door, remain standing there. Stay until the owner reads the trespass law in the presence of police. Then, leave under protest if you're not prepared to face arrest. Remain only if you are fully prepared to face arrest on a jail, no bail basis. Be courteous and stay nonviolent throughout, no matter what the provocation. Whatever happened, report it to the Corps' national office. The trespass law was the law of restaurant owners seeking to disperse Freedom Riders in Maryland rather than serve them. A few of these restaurants that were still segregated along Route 40 were Aberdeen Diner, Double T, Chesapeake Diner, Rose's Diner, and Weaver Restaurant. At the Aberdeen Diner, the Trespass Act was read to the Freedom Riders. Once the police arrived, they arrested 6 riders. Along with the ride through the restaurants on Route 40, the Freedom Riders took bus trips through the South to protest segregated bus terminals. The Freedom Rides began as a test of the Boynton versus Virginia decision that called the segregation of interstate transportation facilities unconstitutional. They traveled to the South, where Jim Crow laws were still in place, to use whites-only bathrooms, lunch counters, and waiting rooms. One of the 13 original Freedom Riders was John Lewis, who later served on the House of Representatives in 1986 and represented Georgia's 5th Congressional District until he passed in 2020. In May 1961, in Mississippi, many were arrested and sentenced to 30 days in jail after a violent outbreak at a bus stop. The NAACP took these convictions to the Supreme Court, which then reversed them. This is a heartbreaking story of how the Freedom Riders were forced to fight for their justice. Even in our own county, at a diner that's still around today, there were major issues with racism and segregation. The Freedom Riders was a very determined group of African Americans that made a huge push in the civil rights movement by moving their way up the East Coast in an effort to desegregate. Thank you.